In the case of 31-year-old Crystal, Charles, coming to us from Detroit, Michigan, our Jazz, and her 31-year-old daughter, Crystal. You see, when Crystal was just 15 years old, the man that she and her mom, Jazz, believed was Crystal's father was proven not to be her dad. Now, as you can imagine, this bombshell had Jazz and Crystal scrambling for answers. And now, after some deep soul searching, Jazz remembered there was a guy named Charles, a man who now Jazz believes could be Crystal's father. So, it's amazing. Nice to have you with us, Jazz. When Crystal's 15, you thought that this fellow was her father, and he was her father for those 15 years. But then something happened when she was 15 years old. What happened?
Well, what happened was when Crystal turned 15, the gentleman that I was dating, which was my actual boyfriend, he had an insurance policy that he had to get a DNA test from to actually deem Crystal his beneficiary. And it came back that he was not the father. So basically that spent me, Crystal, and him in a whirlwind. And after he got that information, he just basically kicked me and Crystal to the curb and didn't want to have anything else to do with us. And so with that information, the only other person that was before him that I could think of that was close to Crystal's demeanor and the gentleman that I had been involved in a sexual relationship was Charles.
By the way, did Charles ever know that you were pregnant?
No, he didn't.
So the fact that Charles wasn't around, I mean, you can't blame Charles. He didn't know anything about that. So now,
correct.
Time goes on. How did you hook up finding Charles?
Actually, we were out, and just as chance would have it, God would have it, it was in the stars. I was out, and I happened to see Charles. We were just out, just at the store, and I saw him. I was like, oh, my God. I just saw him, and I said, let me get your number. I said, because I need to talk to you. And after I saw him out, we exchanged phone numbers. I called him, and then I dropped the bombshell about Crystal. I said, we need to get a test, because the other guy was not the dad. And Charles didn't give me any pushback on it. He willingly was all in favor of having the DNA test. Once I showed him the pictures of Crystal and everything, he said, okay.
Okay. How long after you found out that this fellow was not Crystal's father did you run into Charles? Was it years later?
Yes.
So why didn't you try to find Charles in between?
I guess because I was so disappointed in myself. It wasn't anybody's fault. I was just so disappointed that so much time had passed and I felt so stupid, and basically I guess just disappointed really in my own self, because I was just flabbergasted and just so dumbfounded by the 15 years that had passed. And I guess I felt like I messed up and I failed Crystal because I got it wrong.
Tell me about your daughter. What's she mean to you?
She's everything. She's my firstborn. She gave me my first grandson. However, we just lost him. I just lost my grandson.
I know. Everybody ought to know that Crystal lost her son when he was 2 years old from
19 months.
From a heart attack.
Yes. I just lost him. So that was kind of hard on us and everything. And I just want to get clarity for her, some answers for her, to at least have some kind of joy somewhere.
So are you upset that Charles has not reached out to Crystal?
Well, the thing is, Charles had made it. He told me that once we had met back up, linked back up, that he had 6 kids of his own. And from a personal standpoint, I don't know what he's got going on with those 6 kids or what kind of hardships he has endured with his 6 children. I don't know. As a man, maybe I feel like he should have maybe got a little bit more involved or inquisitive as to, okay, does Crystal really belong to me, or doesn't she? He maybe should have stepped up and said more, or been more pushy or more forthcoming with, well, hey, does Crystal belong to me or doesn't she? He didn't force the issue. I gave him the information. I waited to see what he was going to do with it. He didn't do anything with it. He just sat back and basically, I guess, just was waiting to see what I wanted to do about it. That's what is my best guess.
Who called us?
Me and Crystal did.
Okay. We're going to meet Charles in just a bit, but I want to welcome Crystal to the show. Crystal, nice to have you with us.
Hey, Maury.
This is a big day for you, isn't it?
Yeah.
I bet.
Certainly.
I want to ask you, when you were 15, I mean, that is such an impressionable age. What happens at 15 that the man who your entire life you felt was your father was proven not to be?
The best two words I can use is just numbing and just in shock, honestly. I couldn't believe it, just like my mom couldn't believe it.
How did your life change after that?
Well, my life changed because the man who I thought was my father, he became to be distant toward me. And as you stated, I was at a very impressionable age, like my junior year in high school. So that's a very pivotal point to lose such a, like a parental figure in your life. And I mean, I couldn't necessarily be mad at him because he was blindsided by it too, but I was really, really torn apart. The only thing I can say that the saving grace was his parents will forever always be my grandparents, and they never, ever treated me differently. They always say, your last name is our last name. You're always one of us. So, I mean, that did help, but I was really sad for a long time.
You think you needed your father the most recently because of what happened to your son?
Well, yeah, definitely. He needs to meet him, and I just want to be able to call my dad and bounce ideas off of him. Like, I need him for so many things.
Let's talk to Charles.
Hey, Maury, how are you doing?
Good. I'm glad you're here. I would be flabbergasted if I saw an old friend and all of a sudden, all these years later, like, I don't know, almost 30 years later, somebody says, you could be the father of my daughter. What was that like?
Kind of caught me off guard, a little shocking. Almost didn't believe it right away because I didn't see a picture or anything of Crystal at the time. So I just kind of I heard her say it, but I just went on about after that went on about my day after that, and until we got a chance to talk later on.
But why did you just go about your day like?
Because actually I didn't know, and until we found out exactly. I mean, because she just said it's a possibility I could be, and I said, well, okay, if so, if I am your father, I would love to be in your life. I would love to be involved with you. But if I'm not, then we had to find out first.
But that was a couple of years ago, Charles. You didn't press the point, did you?
No, I didn't, and because. After I talked to Jazz, she said she was going away to California for a minute, and I talked to her maybe once or twice after that, and then we lost contact after that until a few maybe a year.
Yeah, I just feel like y'all both could have just nipped it in the bud a long time ago.
If I definitely would have known prior to, definitely we could have did it. I have no problem. I had no problem with doing a DNA to see if you are my child.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Charles, you think you look alike?
We favor. We favor.
Yeah.
But like I say, we don't know if once the DNA test comes back to prove if I am or not,
right.
that'll be the only way. And then my other children, they look exactly, my genes are very strong.
So Crystal doesn't look like your other kids?
There's features there.
What are you prepared to do if I prove that you are Crystal's father?
Well, I will step up, and if she wants me to be in her life, I definitely will be in her life. I have no problem with being your dad and getting to know you, so we can go move forward. The past I can't bring back, but I would love to.
I just want to know.
Find out
I just want to know what happened a year ago. That's all I want to know. What happened a year ago that made you press pause? That we had to get to 2020.
Nothing press pause. Your mother we never discussed getting a DNA test that I can remember.
Well, I can't do anything about the past, but I can do everything about 2020, okay? Because we're here. In the case of 31-year-old Crystal, Charles, you are not the father.
Wow.
Jazz?
Yeah.
I know it's been a long time, but if you need us for anything in terms of another person, please contact Jessica, our producer, and she'll move this forward. I know, Crystal, this is not the answer that you wanted, but Charles, thank you very much for appearing.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
I thank you. You're not the answer that Crystal was looking for.
You are not the father.